I just want to thank everyone for coming today. Happy Thursday to everyone. We are going to be having our Q&A today with South Adams County Water and Sanitation District Manager, Jim Jones. Welcome, Jim, although we can't see you, we welcome you, and we would really like to know what's going on with the water department during this pandemic.
Well, thank you. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. We're doing better through the COVID than I did getting on this meeting. I'm happy to announce that. You know, we hear a lot about the frontline folks and all the healthcare workers and everybody. Those are critical, but I keep telling my employees there's nobody more frontline than the water and wastewater providers. If we don't have those services, nothing's going to continue. And you know, the folks that we have working for us are critical, and we've tried to take steps and measures to make sure that we keep them healthy and we continue to be able to provide the critical services that we provide. So in that vein, we've really tried to adhere to the governor's orders. You know, even though we are classified as a critical governmental operation, we've tried to adhere to the reduced workforces, and that doesn't mean we're not working. We've still got the people at home. My supervisors and managers have done a great job of assigning them work that they can do at home, making sure that they're completing the work via telework. Something that we've really never done before, but we figured out that we can be fairly effective at doing it. So got to really give props to my managers, supervisors, and employees for continuing those important roles. The really important roles are providing those water and wastewater services, and that's why it has been, and I think it's going to continue to be important to us to try to keep a reduced workforce, just to keep that personal contact as low as possible. Because what we're finding is with our operations staff, if one of them, well, it hasn't been one of our own employees gets exposed, but say their wife gets exposed going to the in-laws' house, and the in-laws become tested positive, the wife then has been exposed to that. Of course, the husband's been exposed to the wife. We have to start doing a trace of who all potentially is come into contact with that employee. We, of course, put them into quarantine for 14 days to make sure they don't have any symptoms. But we have to go through that whole process of who they've been in contact with. Do we need to quarantine more than one employee? So it's been really critical to maintain that reduced workforce to try to keep that personal contact as low as possible. But we have done it. We haven't had any employees that have been tested positive with COVID, so we're really happy about that. I appreciate the efforts that my staff has done to keep themselves safe and healthy and able to continue to do their jobs. So keep knocking on wood that continues and we're successful. We are going to, our offices have been closed since the middle of June to the public. We have had customer service folks on site to answer questions, and we've had lots of questions. We get about 100 calls a day from customers with questions during the COVID, and so we've had customer service folks there to answer those questions. We are going to open up our admin office and our distribution collection office at 102nd and Havana back to the public this coming Monday. So that'll be new. Just like everybody else, we're kind of set up for COVID now. We'll have the plexiglass windows. We'll have pass-through trays for payments. Our folks will be wearing masks. We've got the social distancing signs set up in our lobbies. We're going to encourage that everybody follows the COVID practices that have been established by the state. As far as kind of other than keeping just the operation going, we've got one big project that everybody's aware of, and that's the softening project. It's scheduled to be completed in February of next year. We were concerned, especially when this all started, that the contractor may have a reduced workforce and lose some time. He did lose about 25% of their employees when it all started, just because of their reduction in workforce and their efforts to keep their staff healthy. But we didn't lose any time. They were still fairly productive and didn't lose any time to the schedule. And now they're pretty much back to 100% full workforce, and that project's going well. A project that's related to that, and I'm sure you've all seen the pipeline work going on down Rosemary Street and out on the Arsenal. That's a water line project. We've got 4 northern wells, generally in the vicinity of about 88th and Quebec Street. Those 4 wells never have been treated at the Klein Water Treatment Facility. They didn't have the VOCs, so they didn't require the carbon treatment. But since we're softening the water, we want to soften all of our water supplies. So we're bringing those wells to the Klein plant so that all the water's softened at the Klein plant and everybody gets that softened water. Those pipeline projects are just about completed, and we're doing some improvements to those 4 wells. Those are also almost completed, so we'll have those northern well supplies coming to the plant starting as early as next week. So that's also a big part of the project, and it's almost completely done and online. So we're happy about that. We're doing and replacement some of the aging system in the area of 67th up to 72nd, just east of Highway 85. We've kept our contractors going through all of this on those 2 projects, so upgrading the water and sewer lines in those areas. Water lines we replace with bigger lines. Back in the 50s and 60s, they put in tiny little 4-inch lines. We're replacing those with 8-inch lines, so fire flow will be better, and overall quality of water service will be better in those areas. Sewer lines we don't have to replace. We're able to typically fix those by putting a liner inside the old pipelines and just line them so that we have the concrete doesn't erode from the sewer gases, and the lining will make a better and longer lasting pipeline. So we've been able to keep those projects going through all of this as well. Pretty much that's the update, and we're happy that we've been able to come through it and continue to provide the services, keep the big projects going. And the other big thing, just like every utility in Colorado, the governor put out the order to not discontinue services during the COVID-19. That order goes through tomorrow. We haven't heard if he's going to update that and extend it out or what he's going to do with that, but we're listening intently today to hear what he's going to say. So we haven't discontinued anybody's service since the middle of March for non-payment. We have, like most municipalities, we have bond issuances that we borrow money, we have to pay it back. And in those documents, there's what's called bond covenants. And we certify that we'll collect all revenues and charges to our customers. We won't waive any of those. So in this case, we're not waiving them. We're just not shutting anybody off for non-payment. And going forward, we'll have to work with the customers that haven't been able to pay their bills and figure out a payment plan so that they aren't burdened too much, but they're still able to pay back those fees that have been deferred to this point. So I'll stop there and see if you folks have any specific questions you'd like me to answer.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Just out of curiosity, do you know what the percentage of people that haven't been able to pay? I'm just trying to get a feel for, who's suffering economic-wise.
Our system is a little hard to figure that out. It typically, the financial portion of it runs about 2 months behind the actual physical water supply portion of it. from a water supply perspective, we're supplying absolutely as much water as we always do. So people are using as much or more since they're home more. Actually, I think they're using a little bit more indoor than we typically see, but the water usage is about the same. We as I said, we run about 2 months behind on the financials, so we don't really have all the data in yet to know. I'm thinking it's in the range of maybe 10 to 20% of our accounts haven't been able to keep up with their normal payments. So I don't think it's been horrible, but I do know that we're at least in that 10% range, but I think it's somewhere between 10 and 20%.
Okay, well, that gives me an idea. Thank you.
I have a question regarding the softening project. So when that rolls out in February, is that like full on everyone gets it, or is it staggered? How is that rolled out to the communities?
It'll be to everyone. You know, the day we turn it on, not everybody's going to get softened water just because of the distribution system, all the pipelines in the streets. It'll take maybe a week for it to completely work all the way through all those pipes and get to the far ends of the district. But probably during that week period, people will start noticing a little bit of difference. And part of what we're doing is we are working out a plan to try to make that process quicker and more uniform. We'll be out probably flushing hydrants to try to draw the water out to the far ends of the system as quick as we possibly can. And we're going to be sending out some informational pieces over the next several months, letting folks know the steps that we're going to be taking, and also the steps that you as individual customers, if you've got a softener, we'll give you some things to think about if you want to continue to run it, how to reduce the settings on it, and what settings you should possibly consider putting it on. If you don't want to continue, you know, our softness is going to be down to about the same softness as what Denver Water has, and that's our goal, to get it consistent with them. If you get it too much softer than that, it starts getting corrosive, and you can have corrosion problems with your internal plumbing in your house. So that's why we're setting at that. And we're going to share all that information, and we'll also be sharing information about the steps like flushing hydrants and things that we may do to try to enhance the change over to the softened water.
Well, that sounds like a great communication plan.
A lot of people will be happy about that. I can tell you that.
Yes, we will.
I know we're excited too.
Jim, you mentioned your location on 102nd and Havana. What facility is that?
That's what we call our distribution and collection facility. Those are the folks that maintain the water and sewer lines out in the streets. We have our development review group up there, and most of the public that goes in up there is developers and contractors. So we're going to open it up and let those folks have contact to our folks that work in that facility.
With this new softener coming next year, are rates going to increase a bit because of, I mean, it has to get paid for.
Yeah, you know, in 2017, we did a survey of the customers to see if they were okay or if they wanted to do the project. And about 70% of the customers said, yes, we want you to soften the water, which is understandable. We thought we'd see a number like that. But then the second question is, are you willing to pay more to get that softened water? And the folks that did the survey figured out that from the answers that we got back on that survey that it would be somewhere between, well, we anticipate it's going to be somewhere between $10 and $12 per month for us to soften the water, and we'd have to pass that additional cost on to our customers. And about 60% of the customers said, yes, we're okay with that. And main reasons they were okay with it is because they thought they'd be able to reduce the use of salt in their softening system.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have to maybe buy bottled water as much as they were buying bottled water. So they thought their savings would kind of offset the additional costs in our system. So that's one of the important things why our board decided to go forward with it. Again, back in 2017, when the board approved it, we thought it was going to be a $10 to $12 per month increase. We've really worked hard to be efficient with all of our water supplies, how we use the Denver water, how we use our irrigation supplies, everything to optimize the system. And it appears now that we're going to be able to get those increases from that $10 to $12 down around $7 a month.
Oh,
And
better.
most of that is going to be in the form of what's going to be called a softening fee. And that's a $5 charge that's going to go on everybody's bill starting next year. It was supposed to go online this year, but because the plant's not ready to go online yet, we didn't want to implement that fee until folks actually started getting the softened water. So we delayed that. The purpose of that fee is to help pay back the bonds that we borrowed, the bond funds that we borrowed to do this project. It's a $60 million project, the biggest capital project our district's ever done. So that softening fee is going to go towards paying half of that back. The rest of it will be paid by rates. But again, now it appears that the overall impact to an average single family home is going to be more in the range of $7 per month.
Good. Thank you.
You bet.
You had mentioned that you're getting like 100 calls a day. What kind of calls what kind of questions are you getting asked? And could you give us maybe the top two?
You know, of course, the biggest one early on was, is my water going to be shut off if I can't pay my bill? And, you know, of course, with the governor's order, our answer to that is no. Your water will not be shut off. We've waived, you know, normally when a customer gets to the point of being shut off, there's a fee to turn them back on, because we have to send people out to shut the water off. We have to send somebody back out to turn it back on. So we have some costs associated with that. So we have that turn on charge. We're going to waive those again, because we haven't had to shut anybody off. We won't have to turn them back on. So that fee's been waived. And then there's also a late fee. If you get to the point where your water's been shut off, we've terminated all those late fees. So we share all that information. And then of course their question is, you know, what are you going to do to help me pay this back? Because we explain that you know, again, because of our bond funding, we can't waive the charges, but we will work with them to help to pay it back. And we'll figure out what a comfortable schedule is for folks. If it takes them a year, if it takes them maybe even up to 2 years to pay the amount back that they were unable to pay during this COVID-19 period, we'll try to work out a reasonable payment schedule with them to help them do that. The other big question we got, and we continue to get, is folks just want to make sure that we're turning on the irrigation system and they'll be able to water their lawns. So we got lots of questions about that and have answered that.
How about you said you had 4 north wells that you were, you know, doing the pipeline around Rosemary and the Arsenal. When that water comes into the system and you mix it with the other, are you doing additional treatment to that water?
Yeah, so the northern wells didn't have the VOCs that we saw in our southern well system coming off the Arsenal and coming from some of the Superfund sites south of the Commerce City area. So they didn't require carbon treatment. So, you know, they still basically don't. But the good thing about those, they have low concentrations, of course, of those VOCs that we built the carbon treatment plant for. But they also have low concentrations of these new PFAS compounds that we've seen over the last couple of years. So we're going to blend those, and that water is going to go through just like all the rest of the water through the carbon before it gets softened. So that'll help us make our carbon last longer, reduce the treatment cost for the whole system. So even though they don't require the treatment, they're going to help us reduce our operating costs by getting that water in there that doesn't have those contaminants that need to be removed by the carbon. but they'll get the same exact treatment that all the rest of the supplies get.
Anyone else have any questions?
I don't think so. I think he answered everything that I wanted.
Yeah, it's
Sorry
very
you can't see me. It's
informative.
good. Sorry you can't see me. It's good to see all you. It's good to see people again. I'll be glad when we can see people in person.
Yeah.
So when you open on Monday, your administration offices, will you still have the regular hours?
You know, in the summers, over the last few years, we've gone from a 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock Monday through Thursday, and then a 7 to 4 on Fridays. This year, because of this COVID, and we're still going to have a reduced staff, we're going to keep our hours at 8 to 5 and not have that 7 to 5. So it'll be 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday and 7 to 4 on Fridays. So it's going to be a little bit modified than a normal summer schedule. And that's, again, because we do want to keep our work staff reduced a little bit, try to keep that personal contact as low as possible so that we keep the public safe, keep our employees safe and healthy, and definitely want to try to keep the personal contact with our operations staff as low as possible.
That's good. I do have a question. I don't know if this pertains to the water company or not. At 112th and Chambers, they're working on the road over there, and they were laying pipe under the road that they're working on. Does that have to do with water, or is it the sewer?
That one, the pipe that they're laying for us, they may be doing some storm sewer for the city as well. But for us, we're putting in a new irrigation line. We haven't had some of those developments up in the north area. They've got the separate irrigation system, but it's been served off the potable system for now.
Mm-hmm.
This new line in 112 is going to allow us to switch all those developments over to the irrigation supplies and get them off the potable supplies.
Oh, okay. That's good to hear.
Yeah,
Make a note of that. Thank you.
you bet.
So going back to the office, I just want to clarify. So you have the social distancing markers down on the floor or whatever. How many can fit in the lobby area before you have to wait outside?
Very good question. So we're going to limit, our lobby's not huge, so we're going to limit the lobby to 5 people at a time.
Do you have that many people coming at once?
You know, we've got 4 windows, so there's definitely times that all 4 customer service folks are busy with a customer.
Yeah.
If we have a time where we have all 4 windows being utilized, there might be 2 or 3 more people standing there waiting. So most of the time, I think the 5 is going to accommodate how many folks we have in our lobby, but there may be short periods of times where 1 or 2 people may have to wait till somebody leaves. And part of that too is, you know, we get lots of deliveries at the main office. So the reason we say 5 people is it could be a delivery person as one of those 5. So we just want to make sure our customer service folks keep that in mind, that, you know, everybody counts, even the delivery folks.
Makes sense.
Well, that's good to know, because I'm one of those who goes and pays their water bill in person.
Oh no, I know we missed you, and we missed everybody. We have lots of customers who like to pay their bill that way, and we're anxious to get that started again.
So for other services that the water district, say, you know, they're running a new line or anything like that, are you seeing delays, or since you are not at full staff, any kind of delays there that people should know about?
You know, Monday when we start up, again, we've done a really good job, and I can't take much credit for it, but the operations folks have done a very good job of making sure those critical services are continuing. And when I say absolute critical, those are things like cleaning sewers. We continue to do that. If we don't clean the sewers, we can get grease build up in there. We can get root build up in there and start having sewer backups. So we absolutely don't want that to happen. So we have to continue to keep cleaning those sewers, and we've been doing that, and we'll continue to do that. If we have main breaks, we absolutely fix those. If we have water service breaks, we absolutely fix those. But we want to get back. The one thing that we haven't been able to do with the reduced staff is as much preventive maintenance on exercising valves, doing maintenance on manholes, those types of things. We haven't been able to do as much as we normally would. So we are going to increase our staff back up to start getting back up to speed on those types of efforts.
Well, does anyone else have any other questions? Our time is running out.
No, we really appreciate your time, Jim, and meeting with us.
Yes,
You
thank you,
bet.
Jim.
Thank you, Jim. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
You're fine.
Tim, do you have anything else that you just want to let the community know here at the end?
Let me think. You know, the big thing that I would encourage the community to do is to, you know, when some of the information that we're going to get out, we'll be doing that by bill stuffers and things. So look for those. But also, encourage as many people as possible to refer to our website as much as possible, because we keep it up to date with all the information we have. And typically, if anybody has questions, we'll probably have the answers on the website. So just let folks know that they can always go there to get good information.
And what is that website, Jim?
They can just go into, if you go into your browser and type South Adams County Water, it'll give you that, but it's SACWSD is the actual website name.
That is good to know. Well, we thank you so much for joining us today and, you know, just giving us that bird's eye view of what's been happening there at the water department. And we will look forward to going and paying our bills in person starting next week.
Good, good. We'll look forward to seeing you. Everybody stay healthy.
You
You
too.
do the same.
Yes,
Jen.
thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time. And thank everyone for
bet.
coming.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.